we have no intention whatsoever to undermine the principles of devolution. Mr. Chair, I would like, maybe you, I'm sure maybe you know, maybe you don't, but for purposes of being on record, I am the one who submitted the sessional paper on devolution to Parliament. And I was the one who led the first 6 pieces of legislation to anchor devolution and to trigger off devolution. I did when I was Minister for Local Government, to make sure that we beat the election and have devolution as part of the electoral process. So in my blood, devolution flows in the veins. So I would be the last person to undermine devolution. There are specific targets where we have a steering committee, which I chair and deputized by the governor of the city of Nairobi County, that is Governor Sakaja. Then we have the implementation committee, which is chaired by the governor himself. So that is the one that will deal with the day-to-day follow-up and implementation of this agreement. The issue of water supply, perennial water shortages still occur. We draw water from the dams that we have been building, but we need to increase this 50,000 cubic meters. And in the concept paper, it indicates it will not be the final solution. We are covering over a period. But when that is on, we'll also be planning for the next phase of water investment. The sanitation, Honorable Chair, the sewer capacity in Nairobi City has been inadequate. We will never clean up the Nairobi River, the Ngong River, unless we increase the capacity in the sea. Why do we make it a 24-month arrangement? Because it's about cooperation. And we give it that so that we can also review whether the framework will be yielding results or not. If it is not yielding results, then we rethink the approach. If it is yielding results, since it's an initial 24 months, the parties, that is the national government and the county government, will have the option to decide whether they want to have an extension or not to extend it. But I would not want to have a situation where we have a permanent contract, because it would then start looking like we are clawing back on devolution, and that should not be the situation. And then white paper number 7 deals with urban security, and this is the establishment of the Nairobi Metropolitan Service Framework. The Nairobi Metropolitan Police Service proposal establishes a dedicated ward-structured community embedded Metropolitan Police formation within the Nairobi Police Service, National Police Service. Now, you will interrogate this further, but clearly what we are pointing out is that we can have a dedicated police service without having to amend the Act of the National Police Service. Different formations have been made before. Even within the National Police Service today, you can have the anti-stalk unit, and you do not need a new act because the law has already provided for an opportunity for different formations to be there. So we can have the Nairobi Metropolitan, and this when we talk of Nairobi Metropolitan, we can all see that Nairobi, Machakos, Kiambu, sections of Kajiado, they are basically a metropolis. So this would help in giving more focus to improve on the security within this large metropolis. Inside the agreement, there's also the strategic objective and purpose, which is captured under Clause 2 of the agreement. And that is to establish a framework for cooperation between the national government and the Nairobi City County government to enhance coordinated planning, financing, implementation, etc. So the whole issue is there. But the most, the important aspect is the aspect of the capital city. That is the anchor to this cooperation agreement. Because under the Intergovernmental Relations Act, county governments and the national government are already cooperating. Even within the framework of revenue sharing, we are already cooperating. So it is not an alien concept, as it were. Now, the difference in this is that this is a cooperation agreement and it is not a transfer of functions. The NMS was a transfer of functions. This one is not a transfer of functions. It is purely around coordination. We highlight the legal context in which this is framed. And under the Urban Areas and Cities Act, particularly Section 6.5, subsection 5, we bring out the very critical aspect that Nairobi City is the capital city of the country. And within that framework, it requires very well thought out, concerted interventions between the national government and the county government in itself. Because over the years, and this is a very personal observation, it may be right, it may be wrong, we have committed so much energy to the extent that we are not realizing, for instance, that Dar es Salaam Airport has become better than Nairobi Airport. That Entebbe Airport, after their extension, is actually better than Nairobi Airport. Rwanda Airport is better. If you go to Zimbabwe today, and Zimbabwe is facing sanctions from the Commonwealth, you land in Harare Airport today, it is now superior to Nairobi. You go to Angola, Luanda, their new airport is now superior to Nairobi Airport. I could go on and on. Go to Zambia, there's a change. Today, go and land in Zanzibar and look at the airport. So we have been living in past glory and not realizing that we need to invest in our capital city. Therefore, we need to have a clear and a strategy that can help us start correcting the situation. And therefore, when we talk about street lighting, Nairobi and others, they're already doing part of it, but they need help. The Nairobi Railway City is being planned. Cooperation between the county government, cooperation between the Ministry of Roads and Transport, cooperation with the railway, and support from the UKEF. This is the British government support to invest in modernizing the railway city and also the commuter lines, so that the ease of transport logistics can be achieved and we can ferry more people in and out of the city, all the way to Thika, to Riruta. The connectivity will come to the airport and even to the SGR, so that it becomes an integrated transport hub. All this to help in easing the challenges that Nairobi is facing. And, Your Honorable Chair, this cannot be achieved by the county government alone. We need collaboration, we need partnership. It calls for investments. I want to reemphasize again that the figure that we talk about, 80 billion, this is assuming we had the ideal situation. We would have to have 80 billion on the table. Okay, so we have costed that this cooperation framework for these specific areas, to have it implemented, then it would get to 80 billion. If we break down and ask ourselves, so what does Nairobi County get out of the revenue share? All county governments get about 400 billion Kenya shillings over the period. If you go backwards and then you ask yourself, then it is clear Nairobi County would not be able to raise this sum of money. So we need to find a different way of supporting them. And it's on this basis that we say that Nairobi being the capital city, it is the image of the entire nation, and that is why it's captured under the Urban Areas and Cities Act as the capital city, and it will call sometimes for special interventions. So the principle behind this framework is exactly that special status of Nairobi.